Mom gives birth to triplets. When one of them opens her eyes, the doctor is shocked. It was a quiet morning when Sarah and David first received the news they had been hoping for. After years of trying, the doctor's voice over the phone carried a sense of warmth and excitement. Sarah was pregnant. They clutched each other, barely able to believe it, laughing and crying at the same time. In their small town, news spreads quickly, and friends and family shared in their joy, each offering well wishes and support. But nothing could prepare them for the surprise that lay ahead. A few months into the pregnancy, Sarah went in for a routine ultrasound. David sat in the waiting room, nervously tapping his foot. He had his own fears and hopes, but he kept them quiet, trying to stay calm for Sarah. When the doctor called him in, he noticed a strange look on her face, a mixture of excitement and concern. Sarah lay on the examination table, staring up at the monitor with wide eyes. There in black and white were not one, not two, but 3 tiny heartbeats. Triplets. David felt his knees go weak. They had imagined a future with 1 child, maybe 2 at most. But 3? He looked at Sarah, who was holding back tears, her face pale but smiling. They laughed nervously, each glance between them asking 1,000 questions. In an instant, their entire world had shifted. 3 babies would mean 3 times the joy, but also 3 times the challenges. Welcome back to PlotTwister. Before we unravel today's mystery, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you're always in the loop. As the weeks passed, their excitement was mixed with anxiety. Every doctor's appointment brought reminders of the risks. Carrying triplets was no easy feat, and they had to be prepared for complications. Sarah, ever the optimist, stayed positive, reassuring David even when her own fears kept her awake at night. She kept busy preparing, filling the nursery with everything they might need. Yet her heart raced every time she thought of the birth. The day finally arrived, and with it, a heavy silence settled over them. Sarah was wheeled into the delivery room, David by her side, his hand gripping hers tightly. The room buzzed with nurses and doctors, all moving with calm urgency. Sarah took a deep breath, bracing herself as David whispered reassurances. Yet beneath their hope, a shadow of fear loomed. They knew this would be the moment that would change their lives forever. Inside the delivery room, Sarah lay on the bed, her face pale but determined. Nurses moved quickly around her, adjusting monitors and preparing the equipment. The air was thick with a tension that even David could feel, standing close by, his hands clenched into fists as he tried to stay calm for her. He whispered encouragements, his voice steady, even though his heart was pounding. Sarah looked up at him, her gaze filled with a mixture of fear and hope, holding on to his words as the pain surged through her. The first baby came quickly. Noah, their little boy, entered the world with a strong cry that filled the room, echoing against the walls. Sarah gasped in relief, a tear slipping down her cheeks as she saw him for the first time. The doctor held Noah up, briefly showing him to his parents before handing him to the nurse for his first checkup. Sarah looked at David, a flicker of relief in her eyes, but they both knew this was just the beginning. Moments later, the second baby, Emily, was ready, but as she arrived, there was a brief silence that hung heavy in the air. Sarah noticed the doctor's brows furrow, and a nurse quickly stepped in to help. For a heartbeat, Sarah's world stood still, her breath catching as she watched the medical team's concentrated faces. Finally, Emily's soft cry broke the silence, and Sarah exhaled, her body sinking back in relief. But the slight delay, the nervous glances, it all left a mark, a feeling that something was off. As Sarah prepared to welcome the third baby, Emma, she could feel her strength waning, exhaustion settling deep into her bones. David stayed close, his hand never leaving hers, his gaze fixed on her, urging her to keep going. But when Emma finally emerged, there was an unusual stillness in the room. The doctor held her for an extra moment, inspecting her closely. Sarah's eyes followed him, her heart racing with a new wave of fear. The medical team exchanged glances, their faces unreadable. Sarah struggled to see Emma to know what was happening. David tightened his grip on her hand, both of them waiting, their joy mingled with an intense rising unease that neither dared to voice. As the delivery room began to quiet, Sarah's eyes remained fixed on Emma, the last of her babies, cradled carefully in the doctor's arms. Something about the way the doctor held her, examining her with an intense focus, sent a chill through Sarah's body. She strained to see what he was looking at, but he was angled just out of her view, blocking any clear look at her daughter's face. David noticed her unease and wrapped his arm around her. though his own gaze was locked onto the doctor, his expression clouded with concern. A nurse leaned in to whisper something to the doctor, her voice low, and another nurse approached, carrying a small flashlight. Sarah's heart pounded as she watched them exchange quiet, hurried words, their expression serious. She could feel her pulse in her ears, drowning out the other sounds in the room. Even Noah and Emily's tiny cries seemed distant as she tried to focus on Emma to understand what was happening. The doctor eventually turned, his expression unreadable, and gestured to the nurse to bring Emma closer. Sarah's hand trembled slightly as she reached out to touch her daughter's soft cheek, her fingers grazing Emma's skin. She looked up at the doctor, searching his face for any hint of reassurance, but he simply gave her a small, tight-lipped nod before glancing down at Emma again. Sarah felt a knot of worry tighten in her stomach, a fear she couldn't shake. David cleared his throat and softly asked if everything was all right. The doctor hesitated, his eyes lingering on Emma as if carefully choosing his words. He explained that Emma appeared perfectly healthy, but that there was something unique, something unusual that had caught his attention. The words hung in the air, unsettling Sarah and David even more. One of the nurses left the room to consult with a specialist, leaving Sarah and David with a growing sense of unease. Sarah's mind raced, wondering if this something unique was a sign of trouble. She glanced at David, who gave her a reassuring squeeze, but she could see the worry etched in his face. In the silence that followed, Sarah found herself holding her breath, as if any moment or sound might disturb whatever delicate balance was at play. Her gaze shifted back to Emma, her beautiful, silent baby girl, and an overwhelming feeling of mystery settled heavily around them. The doctor approached Sarah and David with a serious expression, and the room grew quiet as he pulled up a stool beside them. Sarah felt her heart skip a beat, her breath catching as she prepared herself for whatever he might say. She clutched David's hand tightly, her knuckles white with tension. The doctor took a moment, as if searching for the right words, his gaze shifting between the two parents. He began carefully explaining that Emma was indeed healthy. There was no immediate medical concern. Sarah felt a slight rush of relief, but sensed there was more he hadn't yet shared. The doctor continued, his voice steady yet tinged with a hint of wonder, saying that during his routine examination, he had noticed something rare about Emma's eyes. Sarah's pulse quickened. She looked down at her daughter's peaceful face, now curious about this unique trait that had captured so much attention. The doctor explained that Emma's eye color was unlike anything he'd seen in his years of practice, a shade that was both brilliant and otherworldly. He described it as a striking violet blue, a color that stood out even under the bright hospital lights. David's eyes widened slightly, glancing at Emma, then back at the doctor, his expression a mixture of wonder and confusion. The doctor explained that this color was not just unusual, it was a genetic rarity, something so extraordinary that it often carried deeper implications. As he spoke, Sarah felt her anxiety deepen, wondering what this could mean for her daughter's future. She struggled to understand, her mind racing with questions, fears, and the unknown. Was this a sign of a medical condition, something that would affect Emma's life? Her thoughts spun in 1,000 directions, every worry rising to the surface. The doctor, sensing their concern, reassured them gently, reminding them that Emma was in perfect health. However, he added that Emma's eye color suggested the presence of a rare genetic marker, something that might even be beneficial. Sarah and David exchanged a glance, their emotions swirling as they tried to absorb this information. Relief mixed with confusion and a new sense of curiosity filled the air. With a small, reassuring smile, the doctor promised to explain further, but assured them again that their little girl was unique in a way that only added to her beauty. Sarah held Emma close, feeling an overwhelming mix of emotions as the weight of the doctor's words settled over them like a quiet, awe-filled mystery. The doctor leaned forward, his gaze softening as he looked at Sarah, David, and their little girl. He explained that Emma's unique eye color was linked to a 1 in a billion genetic marker. This rare trait, he said, wasn't just a beautiful anomaly. It was something remarkable, something that brought a wave of relief and joy in ways they couldn't have imagined. This marker, the doctor revealed, was associated with a natural resilience to certain hereditary health conditions that both Sarah and David had quietly feared might affect their children someday. The doctor's words slowly sunk in, and they exchanged a stunned look. their eyes widening with a mixture of disbelief and awe. Sarah's heart filled with a joy she hadn't anticipated, a joy that felt almost surreal. All the months of worry, all the moments of doubt, suddenly lifted and replaced by a feeling of gratitude so deep it brought tears to her eyes. David pulled Sarah close, his hand resting gently on Emma's tiny head as he looked at her with a new sense of wonder. It was as if their daughter was a little miracle, bringing with her a gift they never knew was possible. The doctor continued saying that Emma's genetic resilience could even offer protective insights for Noah and Emily, who shared her unique genetic makeup to some extent. The implications were profound, a ripple of hope that extended beyond just Emma. The couple sat there, overwhelmed by the beauty of the moment. Sarah reached down, touching Emma's soft cheek, marveling at the life before her and the future that suddenly seemed so bright. The fears that had weighed heavily on them lifted, replaced by a deep sense of peace. All three of their children were healthy, and with Emma's unique gift, they felt they'd been given an extra blessing. As they prepared to leave the hospital, their hearts were full, their minds reeling from everything they had just learned. Family and friends gathered to welcome the new additions, and Sarah and David couldn't stop smiling as they shared the news. Emma's striking eyes became a symbol of hope, a reminder that sometimes life offers miracles in the most unexpected ways. Together they walked out into the world with their family of 5, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them with a newfound strength, joy, and gratitude that would last a lifetime. What are your thoughts on the twist we uncovered today? Comment your ideas below. Make sure to like and subscribe for a daily dose of drama and mystery. See you later with another twist.